What's up, gang? It's Noodle again, and today I'm bringing you another Diablo 2 Resurrected build. This is the new and improved, or slightly adjusted, Lightning Trap Assassin. I actually love the Trap Assassin since it can clear pretty much anything in the entire game, and the slight changes open up a little bit more build variability since it takes 20 points less to complete now. But enough of this intro, let's get to the action. For the gear on the Slap Assassin, I'll have this broken down into two parts for early and mid to late game gear, as well as some even later game swappables. For the early gear, I'm using a Spirit Sword right now just because I couldn't find a Trap Claw, but you can find these from Anya if you're patient enough. I have some MF gloves, random rings, and a 4-slot belt that you'll find along the way, some boots with run speed, magic find, or res on them, Spirit Shield or another Trap Claw if you have patience enough to shop for another one, stealth for the armor, a simulated skill Ammy with eye, and a lore helm. With this, you're able to start farming cows and keys early on with relative ease, and I would recommend shopping for a lower resist wand and a tele staff. For the mid to late set, we have a Hoto for the weapon, Mage Fist for the FCR, or Chance Guards for the magic find, a couple of skill rings of your choice, Arax mainly for the skills since FCR does not affect your trap casting, War Traps for the extra MF, Spirit Shield again due to how OP it is, Treachery for the chest for the huge attack speed bonus which your traps use and the plus to skills, Mares for the skills and res, High Lords if you prefer a little bit more attack speed, or even a +3 trap Ammy if you just want more raw damage, and then lastly Shaco for the skills, stats, and extra magic find. I did not use anything on swap for the testing, and some of the GG items you can work toward getting would include Enigma for the ability to teleport, and some extremely rare but not unobtainable 3 to Death Sentry and 3 to Lightning Sentry claws, which if you're a lottery winner, you can find this in a 3-socket base and put the new Plague rune word in, which is probably the most broken thing you can possibly do. I only used 4 skillers for the mid to late game version of this build, and everything of course can be pushed further with sockets and more skillers, and you can use whatever the hell you want to use. This is just what I'm using to showcase this build. For the skills that kills, the trap synergies were changed just a little bit to provide some more variability to these builds. So we have 1 point into Cloak of Shadows and Mind Blast for controlling the crowds, 20 into Light Sentry, 20 into Charge Bolt Sentry, and 20 into Shockweb. Since Death Sentry is no longer a required synergy, you can get away with putting just 1 point into this for the massive corpse explosion damage. With this new freedom, you can put 20 points into Burst of Speed, which is solid to hit your trap breakpoints, 20 into Fade for the huge resist, or you could do something wild like putting 20 into Fire Blast, which helps your Death Sentry by adding more shots, 20 into Wake of Fire to boost the Fire Blast even more, or just stick to the traditional 20 into Death Sentry because you're afraid of change. For the Statatas, we have just enough strength and dex to wear everything depending on the gear or claws you're using, and then the rest goes into Vitality. For the Merc on this one, I would recommend either an Insight Act 1 Cold or an Insight Act 2 Holy Freeze early on for the extra control and tankiness. These are of course optional because they're not very strong and can't hold their own until you get some more gear, but they're both replaced later on with an Infinity on that Act 2 Cold Merc. Between this and the Death Sentry's Corpse Explosion, you should be able to farm almost literally anything in the entire game. Now the playstyle for this one has a few onion layers to it that get more and more in depth the more you peel it back. On the surface, it's as simple as throwing down 5 lightning sentries and kiting around until a few things die, and then dropping a death sentry to start popping bodies. But something you can do to farm more efficiently or safely is to try to corral as many mobs to a single screen as possible by running around and shoving them into each other with Mind Blast. Sometimes Mind Blast will convert a few of them, which turns the whole horde's attention inward. Once you nail that down, you can go back to step 1, but this time cast lower resist first, drop lightning sentries until a few die, and then lay death sentries while grabbing a handful of popcorn to watch the entire screen turn into a motionless pile of regret. Objectively, even without Infinity, this build can clear almost anything due to death sentries physical and fire damage, and at a great pace compared to many others. I put this up on the Cow Clapometer to see how it competed with the others, and it threw down a solid 4 minutes and 17 seconds, putting it happily in the middle of the list so far. In my opinion, this build is so much fun while bringing so much utility to the arena that as an overall kit, it's really hard to beat. You can start farming things like cows and keys as early as day 1 with this, making it an incredible currency and item farmer. I would easily give this one a 9 out of 10. Do me a favor and subscribe if you haven't already, and like this video so more people can see it, because I know there's a huge portion of the community who can benefit from one part of this or another. I stream all of my leveling, farming, and Uber operations live on Twitch quite a few times a week, so if you're looking for some live interaction and entertainment, make sure you follow from the link in the description down below. There will be a few other helpful links, like one to the Noodle Gang Discord where a lot of us have been hanging out lately, so don't be a stranger and come on in. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. Happy grinding, travelers, and I will see you next week.